What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and today we're back to answer more questions from you guys in another For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. I'm really tired, and I just remembered, and you mentioned this in the previous episode, that a lot of you guys listen to us so that you guys can go to sleep. You say that our voices are very...
Lullabying?
Yeah. We could either take that as a compliment or, us saying like, yes, we have soothing voices, or as a... what is it called? An insult, in that we are so boring that
we just put you to sleep.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think everybody needs a little bit more sleep nowadays.
Definitely.
You gotta rest and recharge.
They should get rid of daylight savings. Stupid. This first question comes from Troton. Is it possible that one of the human empires fled the Imperium, went out into the galaxy, and survived using Dark Age of technology stuff, and only having to deal with Tyranids and not chaos? What does that sound like to you? What is it called? The squats?
Yes.
Basically that, right?
Leagues of Voltan, the kin.
Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, that they have been able to survive on their own, away from the Imperium, and still kind of like... they're on the outskirts, right?
Yes, yeah.
Then yeah, there could be a human empire if you wanted to create it. Like maybe do like some type of like Star Wars rebel force that has to fight for humanity and fights Xenos and fights chaos, but it's also like human. So like use an Imperial Guard Codex, but just say that they are rebels and captured STCs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the easiest way of doing it, honestly, because Space Marines are not humans, so you can't say like the Space Marines are protecting them or something like that.
Right.
Unless it's their home world, and like that's where they get their conscripts. Is that the... Yeah, they're like their aspirants. There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say that's maybe why this far out there colony of humans have been essentially defected by the Imperium, but that's because they're being protected by Space Marines.
Exactly.
There's a lot of ways you could spin it. Warp storms, worlds that have been swallowed by the warp, and somehow they've got like a massive Geller field protecting them.
Yeah.
So that's why they're cut off from this freaking real space, but they're still thriving because of the Geller fields.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the cool thing about 40K is you can do anything and everything you want. You just have to make it make sense with what GW has given us. And there's a lot that they've given us to play in this sandbox.
Yep. Now, is there actually something in the lore? Not that I know of. But like we said, sounds a lot like the Leagues of Voltan.
Yeah. Which technically they are humans. They're just like an offshoot.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like ratlings and beastmen and all that.
Right. Good question, though. Next one comes from Isaac Langdon. Who did the Emperor value? Oh, no, we kind of talked about this in the previous episode.
Yeah, between the Custodies and the Primarchs.
Yeah, next
Primarchs. This one is by Noctis Lucius. Considering half of the Imperium can't see the Astronomicon, why not get the pylon close to the gates under Terra? Get the Emperor outside of the Golden Throne, let him revive, and then create another crusade.
That sounds like, it's easier said than done. On paper, it would work, but it's not until recently that the Adeptus Mechanicus and humanity, for that matter, has been paying attention to Noctilith or Blackstone, which is what the pylons are made out of. And they got lucky in the Cadian Gate in that like the pylons existed before humanity, probably created by the Necrons to stop the old ones, but then it ended up creating like the
whole rift and everything.
Yeah. And then also like it's weird because Noctilith both is a nullifying power on the warp, but also it absorbs the warp, and then they can shoot it out. And I don't think it can be controlled as easily as humanity, or it can be controlled by humanity.
Yeah. Another reason as to why this won't work is because of the whole, like, the Emperor is a holy relic, essentially. Is anybody going to willingly kill the Emperor? No, because then they're going to be deemed as traitors. So, yeah, I don't think they'll ever be able to move the Emperor without it being like a Primarch or something. And even then, it'll probably cause a whole civil war.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons as to why. Like, it makes sense. Just kill the Emperor. He'll come back. But again, killing the Emperor opens up a floodgate into Terra. Death and destruction will be rained upon by demons. So, no bueno.
Not good at all. Next question.
This one's by Wasted Millennium. What real things does Gork and Mork actually do? Are they comparable to the other gods? And do you wish to see more of a visual or real showcase of power by Gork and Mork?
So I wouldn't want there to be a manifestation of Gork and Mork. In the 5th edition Codex, they did a really good job with the powers of the Weird Boy. I don't know if it was 5th or 6th. It might have been 6th. But what the cool thing was like those powers, the WAAAGH energy powers, they kind of were manifestations of Gork and Mork. So I think one of them was the Fist of Gork, where like an actual fist would descend, and that's supposed to be the embodiment of like Gork's fist and stuff, or Mork's fist. And then there was another one where it's like vomiting, Gork's vomit, where it's like it was the Weird Boy vomiting just like energy that Gork and Mork gave him in the form of vomit. That's really all I want. I don't want like manifestations.
Yeah, I think making them unique in their own thing is better than just copying off of the Chaos Gods.
Yeah.
Because then you'll just get a greater demon of Gork and Mork, or lesser demons of Gork and Mork, and stuff like that. And I mean, that's Chaos's thing. Let the Orcs have their own stuff.
Right.
This one is by The Algorithm Sent Me Here. Is Kitty in text-to-speech canon? Oh, yes. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Watch text-to-speech if you have not.
So they're back in the old lore for the Adeptus Custodes. They were described as like what you see with Kitten, of like abs and like basically just like really powerful men, which is kind of weird because it's the Emperor's bodyguards. So you have like these super like buffed up men just like huddled around the throne room.
I mean, who wouldn't want that, right?
Right. Golden palace. Doing golden something else. Next question.
The richest man in Tatooine says, are you guys interested at all in the upcoming Old World release?
Yeah, really interested just because Warhammer, like, what was it?
Fantasy, I guess
fantasy.
you can call it.
Was something that I always wanted to get into, but we never did. And then when we got into
Age of Sigmar,
it's basically Warhammer, but just a little bit better. So I hope Old World is like the old fantasy, where like you have like the trays. I really like the trays and like pushing things around. Like that to me sounds like fun to play. Almost like that game, the PC game Total War.
Yeah.
That would be fun on the tabletop.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they like. What are the things that are going to be the same and what they're changing? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to revamp the whole like game system. I don't think it'll be just a what's the word? A revival of the old one. It'll be more like a remaster. I think that those are the words I'm looking for. But yeah, I'm excited. Tomb Kings look pretty cool.
Yeah,
at least back in the day they did. And I wouldn't be surprised if like you could still use maybe some fantasy models.
Yeah. Because that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think because Tomb Kings went away, right?
Yeah,
like
they're like gone, discontinued, not a thing.
Yeah. So this, like, if they redo it, like, yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do. If they're gonna bring out new models, or they're just gonna be like, we'll use your old models. And if that's the case, the prices for those Tomb King minis are gonna go through the roof.
But I mean, as greedy as GW is, I don't see them saying use your old models. They'll be like, ooh, look at this new shiny box set.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, they make it fun.
Yeah. Polar bears. That's what I'm excited for.
Next question.
Tommy Falcon. So the Primarchs and Space Marines have tiny heads and huge bodies. Why is that? I mean...
The who?
Like Space Marines and Primarchs, he says they have tiny heads and huge bodies.
Oh, well, that's not like... Proportion-wise, they're normal humans when they just have their black carapace. It's the shoulder plates, it's the armor. They're basically walking tanks.
Yeah.
I think we got another question at some point saying like, can Space Marines raise their hands because of the shoulder plates?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes, because like the way that it shifts and stuff like that. But that's the point. Like they look bulky and they're supposed to have like, it's like there is a man in this mech suit, but it's not really a mech suit, but it is. It's weird.
And you fell right into Tommy Falcon's trap because he said, please don't say power armor, because even in a lot of approved GW art without power armor, they look like that dude in Beetlejuice in the waiting room. Tiny head, huge body.
No, not the artwork that I've seen. I mean, if you look at the old Blanchitsu stuff, they all look weird. And they're supposed to look weird.
Yeah, that's the aesthetic they were going for.
Yeah, but the modern stuff, no.
Yeah. The way I can kind of make it make sense is that the head houses a lot of important things. Obviously, the brain, eyes, the sight, smell, all that kind of stuff. You take out the head, they're done. So make the head a smaller target, give their muscles more mass to make them move faster reflexes, that kind of thing. So maybe that's why. A smaller target in their heads, bigger body to do more damage, perhaps.
You're right, and you also got me thinking that a lot of the gene seed organs are enhancing their physical body, basically from the neck down. There is no organ that's increasing, like there's no reason for their head to even kind of exist, right? Like, they don't really eat. They do, but they don't need to eat.
Yeah, the gene seed organs that I can think of that are in the head or the face, like, they're not really that... I mean, they are... It's yes and no. Because, I mean, they can spit acid,
right,
which can come in handy. They can also eat things, gain the memory, which is really good for information gathering.
But this is like in their stomach too, right? It's not even in their mouth.
Yeah, yeah. Also, they can see at night because of their eyes and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it is kind of necessary, but it's just embellishing the warrior aspect more.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really depends on which artist is drawing them up. Because like I said, like the modern Space Marine art, and even like the video that GW posted not too long ago of like the Space Marine getting
his armor put on,
looked like his head looked proportionate to his body.
Yeah, it's not comically small.
Yeah. It's not Beetlejuice.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, to each their own, I guess.
Right. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and listening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
That's right. This has been The Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out of here.